I'm here to evaluate Andrew's CC7. I am going to tell you how he did on the objectives of the manual, after which I'll tell you some of his strengths, and then finally I'll move on to the areas of improvement that I've noticed in his speech. Evaluating the speech first, the objective of the speech was to research and to bring that research to the audience. And I think Andrew did a very good job at that because a lot of this information was technical in a manner and it was presented very in a manner that was very connectable and showed a lot of delving into the information that Dr. Cialdini has explored over the course of, I'm sure, many years. I think the small area of improvement here was that the expectation for CC7 is that you explore a lot of different resources, and I get the feeling that you focused on one person and probably one book and just got most of your information from that. So expanding your area of research would help. And then strengths, I think there are numerous. The topic was very relevant. That was an expectation of the manual as well. I think whatever we learned is relevant to all of our lives, and we can implement it in our daily lives and benefit from it very directly. The opening was fantastic. You caught my attention immediately, and you kept it all the way through. And then finally, Andrew always makes excellent use of humor. He's demonstrated this in the speeches before, and he got lots of laughs today. And that just demonstrates his command at this particular aspect of public speaking. Now, without spending too much time on the things that he's done well, I'm going to try and move on to things that he can do better. Just in terms of the structure of the speech, I think we would have benefited from a more clear laying out of the principles. So when you introduce something new, you just said what the topic was. So you said responsivity? No. Likability, commitment, authority, scarcity, social proof. But that's not a principle. That's just a statement of some kind of quality. Elaborate on what the principle is, because I had to work really hard throughout each of the elaborations to figure out what the point was. And I think putting it up front would have really helped. Secondly, and this was a bit distracting, but not a very big deal, is that the numbering was a bit off. When you said 6 points, and that goal posting was fantastic, by the way. And I was expecting 6 points. You went from 4 to 6, and then I was like, where's 5? Maybe he's going to pull a trick on me. Especially because he pulled a trick on us right before then, which was the Dr. Chianti versus Dr. Cialdini trick. And then you brought a point after. So just paying attention to that numbering, especially given that your whole speech is structured around it, would have helped. Now to the most important point, which is that of conveying authority. And it's very interesting that your speech was about authority, at least one of the points was, and you made a joke about it too. I think you could have benefited from more authority. And where does that authority come from? It comes from a lot of presence. It comes from conveying this sense of presence that in some ways you can do a better job at. So I noticed that you paced well. You went back and forth, right? And that belies nervousness. You made quick darting eye contact. It wasn't very consistent. It also didn't span the whole room. Instead, it went to a few people in the front, like this half of the room and then that side. And that is a problem. I think overall you did a very good job of conveying authority, or a reasonably good job. And we know this because you fooled us into thinking, for example, that we were talking about Dr. Chianti as opposed to Dr. Cialdini, but this is still an area for improvement. And given that the whole thirst of this speech wasn't, so there are 3 ways of convincing people, right? Logic, emotion, and authority. And given that this was based on authority because you didn't make logical arguments and there wasn't an emotional appeal, the authority really needs to be there when you're making a speech like this. And so focusing on the elements that you can improve in order to convey more authority would be really helpful with a speech like this.